Hello everyone and welcome to a concise summary of the 2016 Tokyo Final Fantasy XIV Fan Festival opening keynote address that was presented by Naoki Yoshida just a few hours ago. I was fortunate enough to have access to the stream and provide some of you guys with some live commentary, but I thought it would be helpful to summarize and clarify for all of you the major points and big reveals, and perhaps also to ascertain where the conflations and misinterpretation you may be seeing on social media already sort of begins and ends. A fair portion of this keynote was repeating and summarizing the details revealed at the North American Fan Fest. So if you haven't seen those or would like a refresher, there is also a summary video for that on the channel, so check for a link in the description below. Firstly, the big reveal that surprised no one but excited everyone was Red Mage. It is a ranged DPS, starting probably at level 50 with no class, and will be available as soon as we jump into Stormblood. They seem to behave quite similar to the Red Mages of Tactics, being based on a fencing style of combat, and they wield a rapier with a detachable pommel, which acts as an ethereal channel or battery for their spells. Now, they're calling it a ranged DPS, but in the previous video there was a lot of jumping in and out of melee range with great fluidity. It appears as though it might operate with a range stance and a melee stance, in which you both have to build stacks to spend on huge burst chain spells. That's how the 20 seconds of combat that we saw looked to me anyway. It looks like a lot of fun and a very unique playstyle compared to what we have so far in other jobs and other roles. Secondly, we have a more esoteric t-shirt than usual, as Yoshida reappeared with a Spider-Man, which has some people thinking Beastmaster, some Blue Mage, some Puppeteer. I'll do a more focused video on this soon, but for now my money is still on Samurai. Thirdly, there is no thirdly. Square Enix North America tweeted and very quickly deleted this reveal, as there's been no official statement as of yet that there will be only 2 jobs, but it speaks for itself. Now, it has been made clear that we're going to see more new areas than just Girabonya. What many people dreaded is that this would include swimming. But before we panic, it was made explicitly clear here that there will be absolutely no swimming or diving based combat, which mitigates most of the concern. And to be perfectly honest, these areas look beautiful, the animations look great, flying mounts will be able to dive, and that probably means that new diving mounts will be able to fly. We can presumably expect underwater gathering and salvaging, given a few shots of shipwrecks we see lying around, and apparently underwater NPC interaction. Perhaps new beast tribes, perhaps with the Sahagin. Who knows? Also, don't be surprised if and when Blitzball is announced. Speaking of beast tribes, we have the Ananta announced, which inhabit the mountains near Alamigo, so evidently in the eastern reaches of Ablathia's spine. Now, it's unclear whether they are land-dwelling or inhabit the springs and rivers of the mountains, but they are clearly basically Lamias. They are a female-only race, and they have been around since the time of Alug. The Allagan Lamias we have met so far are artificial chimeras, so could these be the model for them? Another Allagan product like the Ixal? The slide seems to imply the latter, but Yoshida himself said that they've been around since before the Allagans, so it is unclear. Their primal deity is Lakshmi, playing effectively off the Indian aesthetic of the Ananta, and she is also evidently a Lamia. All we have seen thus far is this single piece of concept art, but I will of course make a video in the future delving into her possible role, implementation, and lore. While we're talking about new content, we also have a reveal and some concept artwork for the new 8-man chain of raids that will progress throughout Stormblood, the Bend of Time Omega. Now, we've been expecting Omega to show up somewhere ever since A Realm Reborn, and its story is certainly escalating with the interference of Neurotol Skava, but now we know the content and form in which it will appear, and it seems that Omega, like Alexander, has some relationship with the manipulation of time. We have also been told that this raid will have a closer relationship to the main scenario quest than Alexander, which was of course one of the major criticisms of the implementation of Alexander. After all, we see Omega here emerging from some kind of portal far above the surface of Hydaelyn, but a portal to where? Or when? From what we know of Omega as an Allagan weapon, I suspect we might be seeing it traveling through time to deal with primal threats wheresoever they emerge, but there's also time aplenty to talk about that in a future video. Then we had a great surprise. The 24-man raid has been teased far earlier than anyone really expected, and is only a title very vague but also very loaded. For the design and development of this content in particular, Yoshida has called on the talents of Matsuno Yasumi, a major contributor to Vagrant Story, Ogre Battle, Final Fantasy XII, and Final Fantasy Tactics, and Amamiya Keita of Shin Megami Tensei, among other prestigious projects. The title of the 24-man raid series, for which Yoshida has called on these titans, is Return to Ivalice. Now, as I have said with each of the other pieces of content announced, I will of course be going into much greater detail on this in the future, but for now I'd like to try to dispel the conclusion that many people will be jumping to, that the Ivalice of Final Fantasy XII is a literal location on Hydaelyn. I do not think this is the case. We have city-state names of Othard taken from Ivalice, including Dalmasca and Rabanasta, but the tiny glimpse of Othard's geography we have does not really match at all. It is possible that Ivalice exists on one of the remaining shards which mirror Hydaelyn, the source, or that Ivalice is the name of a collection of city-states in Othard in the same way that Eorzea is the name of a collection of states in and around Aldenard, but once again, please look forward to a more detailed video on these possibilities in the future. We had a look at the Stormblood Collector's Edition, including a fantastic statuette of Xenos Yei Galvus and a Stormblood art book. Digital Collector's Edition will give you the Sildra mount, wind-up Bart's minion, and a novelty Red Mage weapon. And finally, at literal gunpoint from his boss, Yoshida amended his ambiguous summer 2017 release date to an actual date. Stormblood is scheduled for launch on June 20, 2017, and pre-orders will begin on January the 24th. So the hype is very real. I'm going to leave you with another look at this awesome Red Mage AF gear, whilst I apologize for this video being so hurried and with so many bird noises in the background. But Live Letter 34 is starting very soon, and I intend to provide both live and summarized commentary for that, so check out twitch.tv/EthosAsher to hang out live, or look forward to a summary video of the Live Letter here on YouTube as soon as possible. For now, I'm Ethos. Thanks for watching.